SMS line, it is 23059. Now, EBN Morning Live starts now. And President William Ruto and let's take that again. President William Ruto, Nairobi Governor Johnson Sakaja, and other government leaders were yesterday toward the Nairobi River section at Lucky Sama, Nairobi, to popularize the national and county government collaboration, in which the government has pledged to clean the Nairobi River as a key pillar of the arrangement of the agreement. Now, the president says that the project will create jobs while restoring the river to a clean state.
You guys agree?
Wangapi wamesema kaunti na serikali kuu ishirikiane, tufanye kazi pamoja, tuongeze mabarabara, masoko, na Nairobi ipate chapa zaidi kuwafanyia nyinyi kazi. Sio ndo tunataka? Ama ni aje? We have come together between the national government and the county government in the interest of the people of Nairobi. Umoja ni nguvu, utengano ni udhaifu. Kuna watu wanajaribu kumtishia huyu governor ati hand over Nairobi. Mimi nataka niwaambie bwana, hakuna Nairobi imekuwa handed over. Mimi niko na kazi ya kutosha ya kufanya ya national. Ile tumefanya ni ushirikiano, tuweze kujenga city yetu. Itasimamiwa na county government, our MCA ndio watafanya hiyo kazi pamoja na gavana wao. Mimi kazi yangu ni kuwasaidia ndio tuhakikishe Nairobi inatembea. Kule kwengine wanabadilisha miji yao. Nairobi lazima ibadilike, iwe na standard ya juu ndio tushinde zile zingine. Mnataka Addis Ababa itushinde? Mnataka Lusaka itushinde? Mnataka Kampala itushinde? Mnataka nani wawe mbele? Nairobi! Nairobi hoye! Kenya hoye! Ruto hoye!
Now, hundreds of parishioners at the Catholic Church in Bungoma have officially begun the 40-day Lent season during Ash Wednesday Mass celebrations. In his sermon, Father Collins Mambo of Christ of the King Church, Bungoma, expressed sorrow over reports of global violence, particularly killings, noting that prayer is one of the three key responsibilities the Catholic Church takes on worldwide. Now, Father Mambo emphasized that Lent is an appropriate time for self-denial and for helping the less fortunate in society. He also urged the faithful to fast and pray for peace and harmony in the country during this 40-day period.
Kwenye the third weapon that we use in our fight against evil is fasting. And fasting helps us to rediscover ourselves. Remember, prayer to restore our relationship with God. In almsgiving, to restore our relationship with our neighbors. And in fasting, to restore our relationship with the self. Uze jirani, wajijua kweli. Wewe hatujui kabisa. We have no time for ourselves. That's why tunafaa basi kujitenga na anasa fulani, starehe fulani, ili tuwe na muda wa kujitambua sisi wenyewe. Na tunapojitambua tunaangalia ni wapi ambapo basi tumepotea, kwa sababu hapa tumeyatenda. Na tuweze basi kuzinyosha njia zetu.
All right, in regards to that particular, you'll remember that yesterday actually was Ash Wednesday, and Ash Wednesday actually marks the beginning of Lent in the Christian calendar, a period of reflection, repentance, and preparation for Easter. All right, now this is actually in Joel 2:12-13, which says, "Even now declares the Lord, return to me with all your heart, with fasting and weeping and mourning. Rend your heart and not your garments. Return to the Lord your God, for he is gracious and compassionate, slow to anger and abounding in love, and he relents from sending calamity." All right. And of course, we wish all the Christians well, and as well, of course, we'll remember that actually yesterday, our Muslim brothers and sisters actually started their Ramadan, right? And we also wish them well in that particular journey. All right, moving on, Nairobi Senator Edwin Sifuna and Embakasi East Member of Parliament Babu Owino have opposed the cooperation deal between the national government and the county government of Nairobi. Now, the two have termed the agreement as suspicious and what it shelved, citing several legal breaches in the agreement. Now, the leaders further questioned the limited time to undertake public participation, have opposed the cooperation deal between the national government and the county of Nairobi. The two termed the agreement as suspicious. Take a look.
Limiting it to amendments and forgetting that the people in their righteous might have the option of rejecting the whole agreement in total during that public participation. Secondly, the steering committee established to oversee the agreement is very national government heavy. Of the 12 members of the committee, a whopping 2/3 are appointees of the national government. From its structure, the governor will play subservient to the prime cabinet secretary, making Sakaja effectively the new deputy governor of the county of Nairobi. This, to me, is not cooperation, but a takeover. Thirdly, just last week, the governor of Nairobi City County, Johnson Sakaja, in his address to the County Assembly of Nairobi, derided what he termed the NMS experiment that left us with a Kenya shillings 16 billion hole in pending bills and vowing to never engage in similar misadventure. I wish to remind Governor Sakaja that the Senate in fact directed that those NMS pending bills were the responsibility of State House, from where he was speaking yesterday, since the accounting officer for NMS was the comptroller. He should have used the opportunity yesterday to remind the President that thousands of contractors and workers are still owed money by State House.
Today we did see the signing and the transfer, which we describe as hostile, of certain key functions of the county government to the national government. This process was illegally done in the first place, and we are being informed that public participation is supposed to be done after the signing of this agreement. This is completely unconstitutional, unlawful, and I don't see the need why the national government should move in a hurry to take the functions and or kill the spirit of devolution within Nairobi County. The governor, in his wisdom or lack of the same, did agree to transfer his responsibilities, which were bestowed on him by Nairobians.
All right, moving on, a section of leaders from ODM has called for a truce to end the wrangles within the party while backing the Oburu-led faction of the party. Now, the leaders urged members to stay focused to on development rather than internal divisions.
Limiting it to amendments and forgetting that the people...
Sisi kama ODM tumekubali kufanya kazi na broad-based na William Samoei Ruto kama president wetu. Baba yetu, kiongozi wetu, Raila Amolo Odinga alituacha kwa broad-based government, na hiyo tunaheshimu. Sisi tutatoka hapa mahali baba alituacha. 2027 yale watakubaliana baina ya President Ruto na Dr. Oburu ndio sisi tutafuata.
Sisi hatuko kwa vita, watu wa ODM. Tunataka mkae chini, huko juu, mwelewane, mtuletee maneno hapa vile mmemaliza. Sisi Oburu akituambia right, Alani akisema left, turn, na backward.
Now, the United Green Movement Party leader and former Chief Justice David Maraga has condemned what he described as excessive use of force by police during political rallies, warning that, that this party is preparing to take legal action. Speaking in Embu, Maraga accused the security agency of undermining democratic rights by dispersing peaceful gatherings, insisting that such outdated tactics cannot owe to the country's political direction. Now, Maraga cited recent incidences in Kitengela and Nyeri where police disrupted rallies and even tear-gassed women and children.
Judge, pahali wazee wako, pahali watoto wako, na watu ambao pengine wagonjwa. That's total madness. You don't do that. So we condemn that very strongly, and we are telling Ruto, relax, Kenya is moving forward. If you are continuing to remain in the old days, Kenya is moving forward.
Right now, the High Court has granted an application by former Kiambu Governor Ferdinand Otito to have his bail terms reviewed pending the appeal of his case. In a ruling delivered on Wednesday, Justice Winfrida Omwany allowed the application and revised the earlier bail conditions. Now, the court set bail at 20 million Kenya shillings in cash or alternative and 2 sureties with property securities valued at not less than 30 million Kenya shillings each. Now, Justice Okwang directed that the securities be subjected to verification and approval by the Deputy Registrar, while Tito has also been ordered to deposit his passport with the court pending the hearing and determination of his appeal. Now, the ODM Youth League has given Finance Minister John Mbadi a 7-day ultimatum to release 12 billion Kenya shillings allegedly belonging to the party, warning that they will stage demonstrations if the funds are not released. Speaking to the media in Machakos, the youth leaders headed by their president, John Kitora, stated that the money is ODM's allocations from political party funding in the country. Now, they pressured Mbadi to release the funds and criticized the party board that they claim was created to block anyone aiming for the deputy president position in the upcoming general elections.
As a party, we have a very elaborate plan for the young people all over the country. Mashinani huko chini kabisa. We will want to engage those young people because we want to carry everyone along. And therefore, for us to be able to do that, we must have the resources to reach them down. The resources even to print the merchandise, the resources even to communicate, and even the resources to put them together. And therefore, we are demanding from the government that please release our money. We know the guy in charge of finances is one of our experts. He's one of our members. He also has interest of even becoming the deputy president. Therefore, we are telling Mbadi, please stop these games that you are playing with us, that we are playing with this party. By next week, if we don't receive that money, don't blame us when we refuse to present your name. Because we as young people, we will refuse to submit that name.
Yes.
We will refuse to submit that name. Yes. Therefore, we have given you only 1 week. Release our money. Release our 12 billion. Because we also want to cover, to be seen, and we want to be heard, and we want to consult our young people in Mashinani, and they're waiting for us.
All right, moving on, leaders of the DCP party in Kirinyaga County have called for an independent investigation into the alleged chaos and violence during opposition political meetings. Kirinyaga DCP chairperson Justice Munene expressed concern over incidences involving the use of tear gas in churches, citing an example at Wetima, that is in a church in Nyeri County. He also pointed to reported disruption during opposition rallies in Nairobi and Kitengela. Now, Munene urged independent investigative bodies to probe claims of security officers being involved in investigating the unrest. Now, he warned that such incidences, if not properly addressed, could plunge the country into instability.
DCP.
You have heard about, and you've seen, you have witnessed a situation whereby the government in place, that led by Kasongo, has been so shameless. It tear gases children, women, and vulnerable groups. He's no longer protecting the rights of Kenyans. He's no longer protecting their properties. He's killing left, right, and center. And more so, he's killing the nation, the heart of this nation, the Gen Zs, the seed that we expect will carry on the posterity. So we condemn the issue of violence. Let everyone in this nation aspire and have space to seek power from people in a constitutional manner without violence.
Ukiona manyoya unjue kanga ashaliwa. Sisi Kasongo ashatuonyesha manyoya. Kwa hivyo tunajua ya kwamba amemalizia hii nchi. Hakuna kitu ambayo inaendelea. SHA haifanyi kazi. Hata akizunguka akituambia inafanya, sisi wenyewe ndio tunaenda hospitali na tunajua ya kwamba haifanyi kazi. Masomo ameharibu kabisa. Alitu challenge the other day, akatuambia tumwambie ile agenda tuko nayo. Na sisi hapa Geshogo tunataka tumwambie agenda yetu ni moja. Kwanza aende nyumbani. Hiyo agenda ingine itafuata baada ya.
Right, that particular story takes us on a first breather here on Morning Life, but we'll be back in just a bit. Alright, welcome back to the program. Just in case you're joining us, this is Morning Life. My name is Macharia. Now let's take a look on what's making headlines in the newspapers today. And I'm having the Daily Nation newspaper and the Standard newspaper dated today, the 19th day of February 2026. Now, top story on the Daily Nation. There is a picture there of Johnson Ada Sakaja, who's the Nairobi governor, and it actually says that fresh plot to impeach Sakaja. Now, Nairobi MCAs have revived their bid to impeach Governor Johnson Sakaja, claiming his deal with State House for help to run the county in his administration is inability to govern. Of course, you'll remember these same MCAs actually, arose some time back, and the then Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga of the ODM party actually, had an tete-to-tete with these MCAs, and that was halted, where, I remember that the governor actually was given an ultimatum, to address the issues that the MCAs were actually raising. Now let's take a look at that particular story on page 4 and 5 of the Daily Nation. And the threats of impeachment from hostile county assembly weakened Governor Johnson Sakaja's political clout, leaving his exposed when State House floated the agreement of the national government's intervention in the running of the capital. Now, talks of State House have a bigger role in the running of county affairs started in November last year, soon after President William Ruto and the ODM party leader Raila Odinga had in September rescued Mr. Sakaja from plan to impeach him. Right now, those talks culminated in the signing of a cooperation deal at State House on Tuesday, a development that has stirred fresh trouble for the county boss. Now, the members of the county assembly have revived the bid to impeach him, arguing that the agreement with the national government is an administration that he is unable to govern. Now, Deputy Minority Leader Waithera Chege said that it is a matter of when and not if a fresh impeachment motion is tabled before the county assembly. Now, South B MCA said that the national government coming in to take over key functions of the county government is a sure sign that the governor has failed in his mandate. All right, that's the story on page 4 and 5 in regards to the deal between President William Ruto and the Nairobi Governor Johnson Ada Sakaja. Right now, let's take a look on other stories making headlines on the Daily Nation front page. And rogue police linked to crime and 2 violent robberies across 3 counties have again drawn attention to an emerging pattern of rogue police officers crossing county borders to commit crimes against the civilians they were hired to protect. Now, official records indicate that at least 18 officers have been convicted of serious crimes since 2015. That's as well on page 7 of the Daily Nation. Of course, this is actually evident. The police excesses were actually seen during the anti-government protests in 2024 and the better part of 2025. We've actually witnessed police excesses. We've seen the likes of Boniface Karaoke, the mask vendor, was actually shot in Nairobi's capital, and as well as Albert Juang was actually allegedly killed in Central Police Station. and so many others incidences that have happened in regards to the police excesses. Of course, reports indicate that at least 18 officers have been convicted of serious crimes since 2015. And one may ask the question, when will this end? When will the police protect the civilians? The oath they took when, they got this particular office, right? Moving on to other matters making headlines in this particular newspaper. Ida asked me to save Raila from Moi detention horror. And in the late 1980s, Mother Koome was a young lawyer and activist whose most urgently priority was to find her footing in the profession when she was unexpectedly thrust into the intensity of multi-party politics and the brutal crackdown by the Daniel Moi regime. In our exclusive 3-part serialization of Courting Courage, the Chief Justice autobiography by Moran Publishers, she writes about a frustrating partnership with the Masirul Jafeth Shamala, representing political detainees, including Raila Amolo Odinga, and her role in the dramatic escape of iconic opposition leader Jaramogi Odinga that tricked intelligence officers. That's a story as well on page 2 and 3. Now let's take a look on what's making headlines in the Standard newspaper this particular morning. And on the front page of the Standard newspaper, there is a picture there of Nairobi Governor and President William Ruto. I'll remember that this actually made headlines yesterday when the Nairobi Governor actually had an attach-to-attach with President William Ruto, and they agreed on several issues. The 80 billion Kenya shillings agreement to renovate or improve the state of Nairobi County. And, before the ink had dried on the cooperation agreement between President William Ruto and Nairobi Governor Johnson Sakaja, political backlash has already erupted. Critics are branding the 80 billion Kenya shillings sparked a backdoor takeover disguised as a partnership. Senators, MPs, and civil society groups say the opaque deal sidelines the Senate and County Assembly. Now skirts public participation and risks reviewing the ghosts of NMS, with billions in place as the 2027 contest edges closer. Opponents argue that the capital city is being turned into a high-stake arena for graft. And of course, you'll remember that, yesterday, during our bulletins, citizens actually saying that, they have given the 14-day period, that is 2 weeks, to set up the committees and do public participation. And, this may look as, this is already a signed deal. So even if they do a public participation, how effective will that be? All right? They have already made up their mind for the betterment of the Nairobi people, as they say. All right, now that 35 billion Kenya shillings, the deal is estimated to involve 25 billion Kenya shillings and 35 billion annually tied to revenue collection, infrastructure spending, health services, land approvals, and debt obligations. And number 5, the national government is set to take over 5 Nairobi county departments, that is transport and traffic management, health services partially, and revenue collection and enforcement, urban planning, housing and public land, and as well as environment and solid waste management. Those are the 5 departments that the national government has decided to take over, even as they go forward with this particular agreement. And 33 billion Kenya shillings is set for sanitation and sewerage, that is in the Nairobi River regeneration, and 9 billion Kenya shillings to construct 2 parallel 27 kilometers trunk sewer networks along the Nairobi River corridor, and 8.7 billion Kenya shillings is actually set for roads, bridges, and drainage. 2 billion Kenya shillings already allocated to complete phase 1 Kura roads within 2 months. And of course, you'll remember that yesterday, Nairobi Senator, that is Edwin Sifuna, and as well as Embakasi East Member of Parliament, Babu, actually issued a press briefing where the two actually argued that, what the governor, the Nairobi County governor, wasn't able to do in 4 years. What is this that he will actually do in this remaining 1 year? All right, it's a question as well you need to ask yourself. Tell us your thoughts through our SMS line to 3059. All right, And now let's take a look on other matters making headlines on the Standard. On number 2, Muslims Ramadan and Christian Lent begin in a rare coincidence. And in a rare coincidence that happened once in 33 years, Christians Lent and Muslims Ramadan and the fasting of the two biggest faiths in the world started the same day yesterday. Now, as Muslims thronged mosques to herald Ramadan, one of the 5 biggest pillars of their faith, Catholics and Anglicans rushed to churches to also usher in the fasting period. Now, it is purely the issue of calendar. Lent is based on a Christian liturgical calendar and the flexible date of Easter, celebrated on the first Sunday after the first full moon following the spring equinox. Now, meanwhile, Ramadan is the 9th month of Islamic lunar calendar based on the solar calendar, about 10 to 12 days long each year, making it movable from year to year. Right, that's what's up on matters faith in the Standard newspaper, and as well as court slashes Waitito bail to 20 million Kenya shillings in graft case. That's we had to take taking a look at that particular story in a subsequent bulletin this particular morning. And half hand full tricks, Kara gave us fans with football magic and flair. And of course, there is a man there, a feature story of a man who has one half hand, right? It's up to around here. That's a story, touching story actually that there on page 3. Might actually need to take a look at that particular story. All right. Now, family alleges cover up in man's autopsy. Now, frustration, confusion, and anguish continue to mount for the family of Vincent Oyomo as they struggle to navigate what they describe as an exhausting and unclear process in their bid to secure justice for their slain kin. Now, Oyomo was allegedly shot dead by police during an ODM rally in Kitengela led by Nairobi Senator Edwin Sifuna. Police reportedly disrupted the rally by lobbing tear gas and firing live bullets at those in attendance. Now, days after Oyomo's death, family members say repeated delays and conflicting instructions surrounding the post-mortem have deepened their trauma, leaving them feeling abandoned and suspicious of a possible cover-up. That's the story as well on page 3 of the Standard newspaper this particular morning. It is exactly 43 minutes past the top of the hour. You're now up to speed, those making headlines from across 47 counties and in our dailies today as far as the governance of this particular country is concerned. Now, we're taking a short breather here on Morning Live, but we'll be back in just a bit. We tell you what exactly, mental health has in place. We'll be going to talk to a lead psychologist. All right? You don't want to miss that particular conversation that's coming up to you next in just a few.